At a friend's wedding, her boyfriend of 5 years grabbed the bride's bouquet. He immediately turned around and handed the flowers to his first love. There was an exclamation on the stage because everyone knew that I was his girlfriend. Faced with other people's doubts, the boyfriend remained expressionless. I just gave my old classmate some blessings. What's wrong with that? I applauded. Well said. How about I hold a separate wedding for you two next door? What the hell is going on? Shouldn't Elijah give the bouquet to Aurora? Aren't they boyfriend and girlfriend? Shoo, keep your voice down. Who knows what's going on between the two of them? Everyone thought Elijah would give me the bouquet, but the moment he grabbed it, he gave it to someone else without hesitation. That person was his first love after returning to China. Isla. The friends on the stage were obviously a little embarrassed, but I just raised my eyebrows and didn't feel surprised. Before I could say anything, people around me couldn't help whispering. Elijah faced the doubts from those around him with a blank expression and righteous words. I just gave my old classmate some blessings. What's wrong with that? I immediately raised my hands and clapped wholeheartedly. Well said. How about I hold a separate wedding for you two next door? Everyone's eyes immediately turned to me, but seeing my relaxed expression, it seemed as if I was really proposing a wedding for them. Elijah was a little surprised by my calmness, but the groom thought I was extremely angry and laughed instead, so he hurried to comfort me. Aurora, don't be angry. We still have the red envelope throwing session later. Don't rush for the bouquet. The meaning of getting rich is the most important. What's there to be angry about? I looked over in confusion, and then looked at everyone in bewilderment. We've both broken up, so he can give the bouquet to whoever he wants. I also really know a wedding planner here. Otherwise, can I recommend him? Aurora, what the hell are you doing? Elijah frowned, obviously not expecting my reaction like this. If it had happened before, I would have made a sarcastic remark, or, give the bouquet to Aurora. Isla, who had been silent, spoke timidly, feeling that he didn't know whether to take the flowers or not. And it's also my no. I raised my hand and gestured to silence her to stop her from speaking, which again caused Elijah's dissatisfaction. I was just wishing you a normal social blessing. What on earth are you making a fuss about? How come I didn't know when you broke up? Your friend is getting married. Can you stop being so petty? I'm petty. Elijah, do you know what you're talking about? Hearing him say this, I was speechless. I've seen everything he's done to me this past year, and he really thinks I have the patience to accompany him. Ever since I found out about that, I've been heartbroken by him. Half a month ago, I accidentally discovered on my computer that Elijah had a secondary account on the social media platform. I clicked on it and found that it was a post from him. The title was eye-catching. Choose between your first love and your current partner who is helpful to you. This post now has tens of thousands of likes and thousands of reposts. In his post, he said that he is currently facing a situation where he has to choose between two options. On one side is his first love, and on the other side is me who can provide him with financial support. He hopes that netizens can give him some advice. Netizens below are also discussing it heatedly. Some netizens even suggested that I could deal with him while keeping my first love secretly. It's absolutely disgusting. The three of us were classmates in college. Elijah and Isla were once the most dazzling couple on campus. Moreover, because of their talent and beauty, they once dominated the school's love confession wall, making people envious. I was once one of those envious people. Looking at their sweet appearance, my heart was filled with blessings. However, the good times did not last long. Elijah's family separated them because they looked down on Isla's family background. Isla was disheartened and chose to study abroad, probably hoping to use distance and time to dilute this relationship. And Elijah's life changed dramatically after that. The family business went bankrupt overnight and he fell into unprecedented difficulties. Aurora, please, no one can help me. I don't want my family to fall like this. Please, Aurora. I remember that he was blocking the door of my house and wanted to kneel down in front of me several times, begging me to save his family. Looking at his desperate eyes, I couldn't bear it, so I took money from home and helped him through the most difficult time. It was during that time that Elijah was very nice to me, as if he was grateful for my help. Now that I think about it, I was probably looking for new support, and so I agreed. Then came 5 long years. I thought that these 5 years of love would allow our relationship to move to the next step, but when the news came that Isla was returning home, Elijah's heart began to waver again. Netizens offered advice in his post. Some suggested that he should be honest about his feelings and be with whoever he likes, while others advised him to cherish the person in front of him. After all, it is not easy to find someone with my conditions. There are endless various creative ideas on the internet, but Elijah just said to take it one step at a time. However, anyone with a discerning eye could see that his heart was still more inclined towards Isla. During that time, Elijah said he was going on a business trip, and I thought he wanted to give our relationship a cooling off period. Unexpectedly, the photo updated on his second account was of him and Isla watching the sunrise at the beach. They are smiling so brightly in the photo, as if they are back in college. He actually made his choice a long time ago, but I just didn't want to accept it. At that moment, my heart felt like it was pricked by a needle. My 5 years of companionship and dedication are not as good as his 1 year of first love. Aurora, I'm back. Look what I bought you. As a result, when Elijah came back, he brought me lots of local specialties and gifts, as if trying to make up for his guilt. And each one of them is what I like and what I like. I looked at those gifts and a glimmer of hope ignited in my heart. I began to deceive myself, thinking that he still cared about me and that maybe he would choose me in the end. After all, we had been together for 5 years. So, after he returned to the company, I specially prepared his favorite food and sent it to the company, wanting to give him a surprise. However, when I walked into the company, I found that my colleagues looked at me strangely. They looked at the food box in my hand, as if they wanted to say something but held back. She just came in like that. How embarrassing. I don't even dare to look at it. Sure field. I frowned, without thinking too much, and went straight upstairs. I want to eat crab roe noodles. A sudden female voice sounded. I paused. My whole body went cold. And then I saw Isla shaking Elijah's arm and acting coquettishly. Once, I also wanted to eat crab roe noodles, but Elijah refused to go with me. He always says it's unhealthy, or not worth the price, etc. But now, he promised Isla everything and was even willing to run all over the city to buy her a bowl of crab roe noodles. As I watched them walk down the elevator hand in hand in a loving manner, I subconsciously hid myself. The food box in my hand was spilled all over the floor without my noticing. The food was scattered all over the floor. The oil and rice were mixed together. As miserable as my mood at the moment, that day, I returned home in a daze. I felt like all my strength was drained out and I slumped in the corner of the room. The silence around me formed a sharp contrast with the turmoil in my heart, making me even more overwhelmed. I don't know how to face this relationship. It's like a tangled mess, so complicated that I can't sort it out. I tried to recall the sweetness we once had, but those beautiful moments were now covered with something I couldn't understand. I wanted to wait for Elijah to come back in the evening, have a good talk with him and solve the problem between us. I hope we can be honest with each other, find out the problem together, and then work together to solve it. But he never came back. I waited anxiously and called him again and again, but no one answered. My heart gradually became disheartened, as if a basin of cold water had been poured over me, chilling me from head to toe. It was not until the next day that he returned home drunk and looking tired. I sat on the sofa and couldn't help asking, "Where have you been?" There was an uncontrollable mixture of worry and dissatisfaction in my voice, but actually I was just too concerned. "Aurora, where I go is none of your business, you useless bastard. Why didn't you come pick me up?" Unexpectedly, Elijah suddenly became emotional, yelling loudly and using extremely bad words. His eyes were full of indifference and disgust, as if I was a stranger. "I've been trying to contact you, but you didn't answer the phone. Don't be so unreasonable." I frowned and explained, my heart filled with grievance and anger. "Aurora, don't be angry. Ayenshur drank too much." At this time, Isla walked in from outside. She looked at Elijah tenderly and persuaded me softly. Her presence made me even angrier, as if she was the source of our problems. "Who do you think you are? Who let you into my house?" I asked her bluntly, and I got really angry when I saw her hypocritical look. "Aurora, I know you hate me, but now is not the time to argue." Isla bit her lip and said with a wronged look on her face, "How are you talking to Nono? Show some respect with your mouth." Elijah actually hit me. The slap was so sudden and clear throughout the entire space. I was stunned for a moment. And then Elijah left with Isla without caring about my situation. I covered my face, and after the shock, tears started to flow. At that moment, my heart died completely. That day I lay in bed and began to think about how to deal with the future. This relationship is irreparable and I must take appropriate measures. For the next 10 days, Elijah didn't come home and I didn't go looking for him. During this period, I gradually came out of the pain and began to re-examine my life. This classmate's wedding was the first time we met again in 10 days, and I completely let him go within these 10 days. From what I saw just now, when he and Isla stood side by side, I no longer cared. After a short period of pain comes a long period of relief. This relationship has come to an end for me. I have never been a person who hesitates. Elijah, who had an angry face, and my heart calmed down. He accused me of ruining the entire atmosphere of the wedding, and I almost laughed because it was obviously him who ruined it. What's wrong? I just want to give a present to my old classmate. What's wrong with that? Elijah growled. I looked at him coldly and spoke. Elijah, that's enough. Didn't you just say you didn't know when we broke up? Well, I'm telling you now, it's over between us, in full view of everyone. I spoke with a firm voice and without the slightest hesitation, meeting his eyes. When you get back, you must resign from your position in the company and get out of my house. There is no relationship between us from now on. My classmates wanted to give us some advice, trying to restore the relationship between Elijah and me, but I shook my head and said in a firm tone that I knew what I was doing and they didn't need to worry about it anymore. Seeing that we had almost finished talking, I said goodbye to Elijah with a smile, a hint of relief in my tone, and I didn't even glance at Isla. Sorry, I've said everything I need to say. I'm busy, so I'll leave now. Please deal with the resignation as soon as possible. I don't want to delay it any longer. Having said that, I turned and left without hesitation. Before leaving, I looked back at Elijah. Seeing him standing there, he was stunned for a moment, then turned around and continued talking to his first love Isla. The two of them talked and laughed, as if I had never existed. After this misunderstanding, everyone was silent for a while before slowly resuming conversation and liveliness, but in fact, there was something wrong with the way he looked at Elijah and Isla, and anyone with a discerning eye could see what he had done. Elijah probably thought it was just a temper tantrum and that I could just go home and coax him into submission. An indescribable sadness welled up in my heart. In fact, Elijah had never understood me. Looking back now, my mother was not very optimistic about Elijah at the time. She always felt that Elijah had some ulterior motive by being with me. My best friend was even more unhappy with Elijah. She told me bluntly that Elijah was with me only for my money, but at that time, I was blinded by love, and just because I liked them, they didn't say much. When faced with my best friend's questions, I smiled and praised Elijah for being able to keep his composure even when his family went bankrupt. He is so determined and will definitely achieve success in the future. I will not lose out by helping him, so how can it not be considered an effective investment? Now that I think about it, it was just because I was too naive at the time and thought love could conquer everything. In fact, the reason why Elijah was able to keep his composure was because I was backing him up, giving him enough confidence. When I got home, I started packing Elijah's things at my house. I packed in all the things related to him, even some that I wasn't sure who they belonged to. I also threw in, I don't want to have any memory of him anymore. I just want him to leave my house completely. After all, this is the house I bought with my own money, not Elijah, so he should be the one to leave. After cleaning up, Elijah also came back. He opened the door and was surprised to see me at home. He probably thought that I didn't want to see him so I wasn't at home. I looked at his slightly red face, probably because he drank some wine and looked a little tipsy, and an inexplicable disgust welled up in my heart. He was the first to speak. I feel a little sick. Aurora, go make me some porridge. I didn't move, didn't even glance at him. Seeing that I didn't move, Elijah realized that I was angry, and apologized reluctantly. Okay, I was wrong about this matter, so don't be angry, but although I was wrong, you were right to talk to me like that at a wedding. Right, Aurora, can you please stop being so willful? I just wanted to laugh when I heard these words. He actually had the nerve to accuse me of being willful, who just now confidently asked me to cook porridge. At this time, he noticed the suitcase next to him and subconsciously thought that I was leaving in anger, so he frowned impatiently. Aurora, stop it. Who are you trying to impress by making such a scene? How old are you? You're so old that you can even run away from home. It was only then that I reacted. I directly picked up the suitcase and stuffed it into Elijah's hands, and said the first words since he walked in. I'm sorry, I think you may have some misunderstanding. I don't want to leave, but I want you to get out. This is my home and I don't want to see you again. Please take your things and leave my house. Do you understand? Elijah was stunned. He realized that I was serious. I was so angry that I laughed. It turned out that he thought I was just talking in anger. Even now, Elijah still thinks I'm throwing a tantrum. Aurora, I just owe Isla a debt of gratitude during my youth. You know me well. My mother was against me and Nono, but Nono finally got the chance to study abroad. In fact, how can it not be said that my family forced her to leave? I crossed my arms and watched Elijah pretending, and when he saw that I didn't say anything, he continued talking. I still love you in my heart. What do you think of our 5 years of relationship? Am I such an irresponsible man? Don't look at me with tinted glasses just because Isla is my ex-girlfriend. I sneered. Elijah was talking nonsense. You've never changed your fussiness since we were together. Okay, Elijah. I didn't want to play along with him, so I just came straight to the point. What about your trumpet? Isn't it time to watch the sea with Isla? I remember the text was, with you. I didn't realize that. Elijah, you are quite artistic. Elijah was stunned when he heard this, and then became furious. Why did you check my phone? Are you so greedy for other people's privacy? Aurora. I didn't want to answer and made a quick decision. Get out. Get out of my house. Elijah turned around and left without even taking the box. I was too lazy to care whether he took the box or not, so I just threw the box at the door. Out of sight, out of mind. The next day when I went out for work, I found the box still at the door. I have no intention of thinking about where he spent the night. After all, besides me, he still has someone to be with you, with. Spending the night at Isla's place is what he wants most. Maybe tomorrow's text will be with you. After entering the company, I respectfully called out, Mr. Jiang, at the front desk. Then I realized that I hadn't been back to the company for a long time. I casually asked, where is Elijah? Seeing that I was not friendly, the front desk clerk whispered that Mr. Chen was in a morning meeting. I went straight upstairs with my bag, knocked twice casually outside the meeting room, and then barged into the morning meeting without waiting for a response. Suddenly everyone at the conference table turned their heads to look at me. I found Elijah sitting in the main seat, with Isla, who was dressed appropriately, beside him. I couldn't help but raise my eyebrows. Good job, Elijah. You'll assign her to the assistant position. Right. But don't you see that this main seat is for you? I snorted coldly, and before I could say anything, the directors around me greeted me one after another. Why is President Jiang here? He's still so impetuous. Xiao Jiang, come and sit next to me. I politely declined and spoke directly to Elijah, who hadn't said anything yet. Is this the main seat for you? Elijah, I declare you relieved of your duties. You will pack up and leave soon. What did you say? Elijah stood up immediately, looked me up and down, and then sneered. Are you kidding me, Aurora? I'm a shareholder in the company. Who are you firing here? I curled the corners of my mouth, and this time I really found it funny that he was so ignorant of his own abilities and had no common sense. What kind of joke are you playing? Elijah, have you forgotten who gave you your shares? You've been doing business for a few years and you've lost everything. Do you need me to teach you how to read a contract again? Elijah was stunned, obviously not expecting this. He probably thought that I couldn't do anything to him because he was a shareholder. In order to increase his voice in the company, I gave him all the shares I invested in to manage and let him take full charge of the company. He probably thought that since those shares were given to him directly, I couldn't take them back. What a joke. I'm a businessman. Even if I'm in love with a man, I won't joke about my investment in shares. Now that we've broken up, of course I have to take them back. I'm not doing charity. I'm taking back all your shares. Is that enough to get you to leave? I met his incredulous eyes and held out my hand to signal him to go away. Isla, who was standing by, couldn't bear to see this and tried to persuade me. Boss Jiang, do you want to reconsider this? I laughed out of anger. I hadn't planned to do anything to you yet, but you came to me first. Then I didn't respond and looked down at my bag. I picked the most expensive one today just for this moment. I was quite satisfied with it. Then I glanced at Isla casually, as if she was not as good as a diamond on my bag. Isla sensed my humiliation and bit her lip in silence, but I continued. Oh, I would have forgotten if you hadn't said anything. And you, Isla, everyone knows how you got to this position, but in my company, you are not allowed to take shortcuts like this. You're fired too. Pack up your things and get out with Elijah. Isla burst into tears immediately, her eyes were red, and she felt extremely aggrieved. Why, are you like this? I shrugged off her show of weakness. This is a company, not a foreign country, let alone a campus. You can't create value for me, and you still rely on this kind of means to get to the top. You have no choice but to get out. Elijah, on the other hand, stood there with his neck stiff and a stubborn look on his face, seemingly not prepared to compromise or move a step. I didn't look at him again. Instead, I leaned forward, leaned on the table, and scanned the shareholders around me with sharp eyes, my voice cold. Everyone, do you have any objection to my decision just now? Several shareholders looked at each other. Although the situation was sudden, they were still willing to trust me. After all, I was the one who built the company and then handed it over to Elijah. They shook their heads politely and expressed their opinions. No comment. Boss Jiang must have his reasons for doing this. How can a company allow backdoor behavior? I nodded with satisfaction. then snapped my fingers at the Deputy General Manager Xiaolu beside me. Xiaolu came closer in response, and I made the arrangements promptly. I have finished what I want to say. You will take over Elijah's job and host the morning meeting. I want him to leave today. Can you do that? As for Isla, she doesn't have much work to do. I think the files she has are not thick enough. She just eats white rice every day. Xiaolu nodded in response and said calmly, "Don't worry, Mr. Jiang, leave it to me. As for Isla, she really doesn't have much work." I shrugged, expecting that. After arranging all this, I left the company without hesitation in my high heels. In fact, after the company was running stably, I seldom came here, and usually only came when there were major decisions. However, as soon as I left the office building, I heard hurried footsteps behind me. Elijah and Isla ran after me, and Elijah grabbed my arm and roared, "Aurora, what did you mean? Explain yourself clearly. What do you mean?" I told you to get lost. Is there something wrong with your comprehension, Elijah? Or was what I just said in the conference room not Chinese? I frowned and made a soft sound, breaking free from his shackles. Isla, who was standing by, burst into tears, her voice choked and sad. "I'm sorry, Aurora. It's me. It's all my fault. I've affected your relationship. I'm leaving right away so that you won't see me in this city again." "Okay, don't blame Ian." Elijah hurried forward and hugged her, his face full of pity and dissatisfaction. "Why are you leaving? Aurora is deliberately making things difficult for you. Just because you're rich. You're so proud of yourself." Isla cried and persuaded Elijah to apologize to me. "Brother Chen, Aurora didn't mean that. Just bow your head to her. I beg you." I was so upset by her crying and was about to leave when Elijah stopped me. "Aurora." Elijah looked at me reluctantly and spoke through gritted teeth. "I'm sorry, Aurora. I was wrong before. I will keep my distance from Isla from now on." I sneered, feeling completely baffled. "Weren't you filled with righteous indignation just now? Now you put your hands on her. How convincing is that? It makes it seem as if I'm cruelly separating the couple." Just as I was about to speak, I suddenly heard the hum of a car engine in the distance. Before I could react, an out of control car rushed towards me from a distance and the situation was critical. Elijah subconsciously pushed away Isla, who wouldn't be hit at all, but I was hit by the car when it turned, and fell to the side. After rolling on the ground twice, the pain surged through my body and I was immediately dizzy. Before I passed out, I vaguely saw Elijah anxiously checking Isla's wound, which was just a scratch on the skin. An indescribable chill and disappointment surged in my heart. The next moment he completely fainted. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying on a hospital bed. Elijah came up to me and looked at me with concern. "Aurora, are you okay?" Elijah sat beside the bed and rubbed his hands guiltily. He asked this, but there was no worry in his eyes, as if it was a routine greeting. I closed my eyes, feeling upset, and he continued to speak. "The driver ran away, but fortunately you weren't hurt, and no one else was injured. The doctor said you just have a minor concussion and bruises. Nothing serious. Are you feeling uncomfortable now?" Elijah asked quietly, trying to ease the tense atmosphere in the ward. I leaned on the hospital bed, opened my eyes, glanced at him coldly, and a sarcastic smile appeared at the corner of my mouth. "Yeah, it's not like other people weren't hurt. Didn't Isla just have a little skin broken? Thanks to you for pushing her away at the time, Mr. Chen. You reacted so quickly. Why didn't I notice it before? If I had stood a little further to the side, I would be the one lying in the intensive care unit now." Right. There was a streak in my words, clearly displeased with Elijah's behavior. Elijah was stunned when he heard this. His face changed slightly, and then he began to make excuses for Isla. "Aurora, what are you talking about? Pushing her away was just a subconscious rational judgment at the time. Can you please not be so mean? How could I joke about such a thing?" He became more and more angry as he spoke, as if I had misunderstood his good intentions. I was too lazy to argue with him, so I just glanced at him coldly and closed my eyes, feeling extremely tired. The two of them fell silent for a moment. The only sounds in the ward were the faint ticking of the instruments and the occasional bird calls from outside the window. At this moment, our silence was interrupted by a sudden vibration of a cell phone. Elijah answered the phone, and even though the volume was turned down to the lowest setting, I could still vaguely hear Isla's voice. "Brother Chen, when will you bring the food back? I'm a little hungry." The voice on the other end of the phone was a bit coquettish and expectant. I opened my eyes and looked at Elijah, a sneer on my face. "Elijah, go buy her some food. Aren't you annoying me by hanging around in front of me?" I deliberately raised the volume so that Isla on the other end of the phone could hear me. Elijah looked at me awkwardly, then whispered a few words of comfort to Isla on the other end of the phone and hung up in a hurry. "Aurora, I'll come see you later," he said, but I knew he would not come back. He has always been like this. He would leave in the middle of a date because of Isla's trivial matters and leave me alone. For example, that time when he was halfway through the movie, he received a call from Isla. Isla said she couldn't figure out the gas at home, so Elijah left in a hurry. Another example is that time when we were having dinner in a restaurant. Isla said it was dark because of the power outage, and he left me alone because of a text message like that. There are countless moments like this, and I remember them all, but I loved him so much that I didn't want to care about it. I lay in bed, feeling an indescribable fatigue and disappointment in my heart. After lying down for an afternoon, the doctor told me I could go home and rest. I decided to leave the hospital, but when I was passing the stairwell, I heard Isla and a man's voice. I walked over in confusion, took a quick look, and found that the man was the driver who hit me. At this moment they were talking in low voices, looking a little nervous. I was shocked. What happened to Isla and the driver? "Ms. Lee, you haven't paid the agreed compensation yet." The driver deliberately lowered his voice, but the dissatisfaction and urging in his tone were still clearly audible. "Why are you fighting? No one is dead. How are you doing this? Didn't you say that they would kill him?" Isla's answer was cold and sharp, in stark contrast to her usual weak and vulnerable appearance. I was stunned. What happened? Didn't the driver get paid? The two of them suddenly started arguing in low voices. Although their voices were low, every word was clear. I was terrified listening to them. My hair stood on end and my blood ran cold. That's not true. I didn't expect the car's engine to misfire at a critical moment. The driver tried to justify his failure, his tone revealing a hint of helplessness and unwillingness. "If you don't complete my task, I can't give you the final payment." Isla's voice became even colder, and she rejected the driver's request mercilessly. "Okay, then I'll try again next time. And I guarantee I'll succeed this time." The driver seemed to be intimidated by Isla's tough attitude. He compromised in his tone and promised to take action again. Isla then snorted in satisfaction and nodded. I hid in the dark and recorded it all in fear. Isla, who seemed gentle and lovely on weekdays, would actually do such a cruel thing. This incident was not an accident. On the way home, I took a long time to digest this fact. When I got home, I got a call from Elijah. He asked where I was, a hint of concern in his voice. I didn't know if he was involved in this, so I tried to test him. "I'm at home." After a while, there was a knock on the door. I took a deep breath and prepared myself. When I opened the door, a cold light flashed and pierced me instantly. Fortunately, I was prepared, so I managed to dodge and retreated without hesitation. The driver followed me in with a knife in hand and was instantly subdued by the police who were lying in ambush behind me. After being subdued, the driver struggled for a while, but finally he sighed deeply and stopped struggling, as if he had accepted his fate. I told Elijah the address. I called the police, and the police arrived in time to help me with the investigation. When the police were escorting the driver and preparing to withdraw, Elijah and Isla hurried over. Seeing the police and the subdued driver, Elijah cried out in shock, while Isla turned pale instantly. Isla excitedly, "It's her. She's the one who hired me to kill someone." Isla was also subdued by the police immediately. She struggled and tried to break free from the police's restraints, while constantly shouting her injustice. Elijah stood aside, confused, as if he hadn't understood what was going on and thought the police had arrested the wrong person. "What are you doing? Why are you arresting her? She is innocent," Elijah shouted urgently, trying to defend Isla. Isla also took the opportunity to play the victim, her voice filled with tears. "I really don't know what happened. I don't even know this driver. Why did he frame me?" Upon hearing this, the driver angrily retorted, "Don't play innocent. It was obviously you who hired someone to kill someone, and now you want to deny it." Isla refused to admit it and continued to defend herself. "You are talking nonsense. I never hired a murderer. Why are you accusing me like this?" The two argued endlessly and the scene was very chaotic for a while. It was not until I released the video I had recorded earlier that everyone suddenly realized the truth of the matter. Isla saw the video. Her face turned pale instantly and she fell to the ground, as if she had lost all her strength. Elijah was stunned and looked at Isla in disbelief, as if he was looking at a stranger. What followed was a long interrogation and record-taking. By the time we were done and came out of the police station, it was already dark. Seeing me come out, Elijah looked at me and suddenly knelt down, his voice filled with pleading. "Aurora, please forgive Isla for my sake. She only did this because she loved me too much." Bang. I was so mad at him that I laughed. I slapped Elijah to the ground and yelled at him in his astonished eyes. Elijah, are you out of your mind? She hired someone to kill me for money, and you're still begging for mercy. Who do you think I am? A saint. I'm telling you, if I hadn't been prepared today, I'd be dead now. I can't possibly forgive her, and I can't possibly have anything to do with you anymore. Elijah, I'm warning you, don't bother me again from now on. If you do, I won't just give you a slap in the face. Elijah fell to the ground after being slapped by me and kept apologizing. Then he insisted on kneeling at the door of my house and said that as long as I forgave Isla, he would break off all ties with her. I looked at him and felt nothing but disgust and ridiculousness. Why does he think I still love him? Where does his confidence come from? I directly exposed what happened on his alt account. Elijah turned pale instantly and was speechless. I said I don't care about their relationship. I just want them to get as far away from each other as possible. Isla's actions have violated the law and she must pay the price for her actions. The interrogation results came out quickly, and shockingly, Isla did not hire the killer for Elijah. It was just for money. Isla's conspiracy is far more sinister and vicious than I imagined. Was also trying to consolidate her position in the company thanks to Elijah. She even planned to find an opportunity to get rid of Elijah after marrying him so that she could take all the huge fortune. Her scheming is so deep and her methods so cruel that it makes people shudder. At the trial bench, Elijah questioned Isla in disbelief, his voice trembling with despair. Nunuo, tell me, this isn't true. How could you possibly do such a thing? What about the feelings between us? What am I to you? Isla just sneered coldly. Elijah, don't be so naive. How could I possibly fall for a fool like you? How stupid do you have to be to think that I really love you? I just love your money and your status. Now you are no longer of any use to me, so stop being so self-indulgent. Elijah heard this. He felt as if he was struck by lightning. He slumped in his chair with a dull look in his eyes. Isla, on the other hand, had an indifferent expression on his face, as if he was talking about something that had nothing to do with him. Afterwards, the two started arguing in the hall and even tried to fight several times, but were stopped by the judge and the police. Since then, the two have completely broken up. Isla finally got the punishment she deserved. After the trial, Elijah walked out in a daze, now with an untidy beard and looking extremely embarrassed. He saw that I was still there and spoke directly to me in a low voice. Aurora, I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Please, give me a chance. Let me make up for my mistakes. Please. I looked at him, without a single ripple in my heart. His apology and begging for mercy no longer mean anything to me. Elijah, please go away. There is no relationship between us anymore. I don't accept your apology. After this, Elijah still wanted to pester her. Later, he was sent to drink tea several times before he finally calmed down. Later, I heard that Elijah had his leg broken by a drunkard and disappeared from my sight. I looked at my smug best friend but didn't point it out. I don't know how much time passed, but by chance, I met Elijah again on a business trip. He has become a beggar, with ragged clothes and a haggard face. When he saw me, he seemed to want to come over and bother me, but I just felt unlucky. I got in the car and left without hesitation. In the rearview mirror, I saw him covering his face and crying, without any feeling. I no longer have any sympathy or compassion for people like this. His life has nothing to do with me anymore.